Hey everyone, alright, so this week we are going to be focusing on masking and learning about how we can use masks in our painting process. And what's really nice about this is that while we can paint masks, there's actually some really awesome selection tools that Substance makes available to us that can really help that part of the process and can make our lives a lot easier. And we're obviously going to be discussing a couple of additional things along the way. Lesson is not going to be that long. Once again, as I mentioned before, I'm just going to give you just a little bit of information, and then the rest is kind of up to you just to play with that, let it sit around, let it just percolate a little bit, and then we'll just pick up again later on in the week. I'm also going to be moving through these initial stages much quicker because I did cover this in the previous week's lesson. So I'm not going to be talking you through the importing of the geometry to anywhere near the kind of detail that I did in the previous lesson. Okay, so that being said, I'm going to click on File. I'm going to say New. Next to File over here, I'm going to say Select. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab the geometry for the day, which is the meatmat.obj, and you can find it on Canvas. Just go ahead and download it, import it in, say OK, and then hopefully what you should see up here is this meatmat geometry. Cool little character, okay, and something I think we can have a little bit of fun with. So as already discussed in the previous lesson, first thing that we need to do when we bring in a piece of geometry is that we have to bake the mesh maps. Okay, so mesh maps, we can find it under texture set settings over here, and I'm going to make a little bit more space just by dragging this window down, and then I'm going to drag the texture set settings scroll bar here. I'm just going to drag that down because I know that the mesh maps option is last on the list within this particular palette. So we can see at the top here's bake mesh maps, and we can see all the individual channels that we can bake, and we can tell immediately that nothing has been baked because none of these channels are displaying a preview. So when we see the preview, it means that there's a map that has been baked, and when we don't see a preview, it means that no baking has occurred. So this is always step one. So let's go ahead and click on Bake Mesh Maps. We'll take a second or two. Our baking menu will appear. Again, as mentioned before, I am not going to be changing any of these settings, and we are also not going to be getting our hands dirty with these things just yet. We can leave them by default, and they should be more than good enough. So I'm just going to click on Bake Selected Textures, and then it's going to kind of do its thing. It shouldn't take too long. The speed at which Substance Painter works is very much dependent on your graphics card, not your CPU. Maya is CPU based, whereas Substance is GPU based. So the quicker your card, generally the faster Substance will work. Now that this is completed, I am going to say return to painting mode, and we now have a model that we are ready to get cracking with.